There was an update to the common driveways.
Ellen is on and it's
She's
recording.
okay, great. She can just leave, but don't leave an end.
I just texted her that. Yep.
Okay. Oh, hang on. When's this email from? It's from the 16th. All right. Anyhow, okay.
That's all.
So, all right. So now we've got the meeting called to order. We got the agenda up. Blah, blah, blah. That's here. So accept the meetings from 8/27, but they're not done. So right into, you want to start with the ADU?
Yeah.
Great, go ahead.
I will. I'm gonna screen share. Here.
I'll editorialize a little bit. We did meet last week, the four of us. There wasn't a lot to do on this one. I think
Yeah.
there was some suggestions by a few people that we added stuff and deleted stuff, but we'll go through that. But there wasn't a lot.
So from last time, again, purpose. I'm going to try to go through this quick, but if anyone wants me to stop, just chime in. Purpose and intent. We didn't change anything. Under use and procedural requirements, it refers to section 3. Liana?
Yeah, just on the procedural requirements, I was going to ask what that reference is intended to do for section 3. Are we changing the use regulations to add the category for accessory dwellings? Is that going to be part of this proposal, or are we trying to capture a site plan review? Okay.
Yeah, so there should be a new definition for accessory dwelling units as well.
Okay, so when this gets proposed, I think you guys are shooting for November. There'll also be a proposal to update the use regulations in section 3 to add accessory dwelling units and say what's by right, what's by special, or whatever else we're doing, and then add a definition for accessory dwelling units.
Yeah.
No, well, yes.
Or no, just the definitions.
Right. We don't need, technically, we don't need the use table. We could. It's a redundancy, but we could. Because it's allowed by right. It's allowed by right in every.
It says, oh, sorry, I keep jacking. This is the worst part about being on a call. You never know when you can't get a social cue as to when someone else is talking. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say it's a redundancy, but we could put it in there. It's allowed by right by state statute in every district.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that we needed to. I was just trying to figure out what the reference in the procedural requirements to section 3 meant. I wasn't sure if we were trying to get a site plan review or because it's confusing to me. Like, we're not going to change the use table to refer to accessory dwelling units, which I don't disagree with you. I don't think we have to do that. I was just confused as to what that reference was intended to do.
While we're on that real quick, it wouldn't hurt to put it in the use table. I know right now it's all to the forefront and it's in front of us, but 3 years down the road from now, when somebody looks at the zoning bylaw and they're like, hey, is this allowed? Because they don't know that it's state statute. It may just be helpful to know that it's available everywhere. That's all.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Go for it. Redundancy is always better.
That, is it available in every district or just residential districts?
Wherever wherever residences are allowed. Is that correct, Gabe?
Yeah.
It's not every district.
Yeah, the state defines it as any district where you allow single family zoning, which I believe in Mendon would be. Would that be everywhere or?
Looks like just residential, general residential in the ARMUD district.
Right.
Okay.
There's 4 districts in Mendon and 3 of them allow residential.
Okay. Cool.
Good point. Even better to have the use table in.
Yep. So nothing much changed under use and dimensional regulations from the original. But we did add a couple things. So one, we added newly built accessory dwelling units may not be used as short-term rentals, and if rented, must have a minimum rental period of at least 1 month. And then We added the following conditions require the issuance of a special permit by the planning board. The area of the proposed accessory dwelling unit exceeds 900 square feet or half the area of the primary dwelling unit, whichever is smaller. Accessory dwelling units may be built up to 1,200 square feet in area by special permit. And then we added references in administration and enforcement to include the planning board, since we now have the special permit component for increased size ADUs. So that's it for ADUs. It's all stuff we addressed that was discussed at the last meeting. Liana?
Yeah, I just had two questions. So I had gone back and looked at the statute and then talked to some of my colleagues that kind of work in this area. And it does appear that the statute allows more than one accessory dwelling unit. I know we have here, it says only one by right, but statute does then go on to say that more than one is allowed by special permit. And so I wasn't sure what our intent was. We didn't address more than one, but it does appear that the statute would allow somebody to have more than one.
So 2 points. The first thing, I think, I don't, at the last meeting, I know we discussed that at this point, we don't want to do more than one, just for simplicity's sake. And additionally, in attending presentations by EOHLC, towns have the option not to allow more than one. That is
okay, so they specifically said that? Okay.
Yeah, we're allowed to just limit it to one per parcel or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was a couple meetings ago. You might not have been there, Liana, when we discussed that and decided to stay with one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm fine. I'm just unfortunately, because the new law, there are going to be varied interpretations, and I guess we'll see more when and if guidelines come out. So it might be something I have to revisit. I have no problem if we're trying to limit it to one. It's just that I know there are other people that interpret that as that we're not allowed to prohibit if they want more than one, but we can require a special permit and then put additional conditions on that. We're not as limited in the conditions.
Yeah.
So if you're getting guidance that's different than that, fine, let's go with that. But it is something we should probably keep an eye on if guidelines come out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we need, so on a legal standpoint, if the town needs to make changes in procedure before we can do an update to the bylaw, that's really in the hands of the planning board and the building commissioner to interpret the state law, reinterpret the state law and ignore whatever in the bylaw is in violation. So from a practical standpoint, if there are changes in the guidance, the way that the state has presented it to us, the town is not going to be knocked for having a ADU bylaw that's slightly wrong. It's more if the outcome is that we're blocking ADUs that should be allowed, that's a problem. But it's distinct from MBTA, where the town is expected to have their bylaw totally in compliance. I think the state is looking at it more as an enforcement question. And in fact, they aren't too concerned about towns getting something or not getting something through this, round of town meetings. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then, sorry, I only had one more question. When we say newly built accessory dwellings,
yes.
accessory dwelling units, that language, I don't know, that always drives me nuts. Are we just basically talking about from the date of this, anything constructed after the date this passes, or?
Yeah, I think the idea is we don't. Jane, I think, recommended it to me, but the idea is we don't want to create, if there are existing short-term rentals, we don't want to create a situation where they're not we're creating incompliant short-term rentals by accident of pre-existing non-compliant uses. So I think the idea is that this would only apply to new stuff built under this bylaw.
Okay, I would just recommend you might want to phrase it a little differently if that's the intent. And then I also meant to say on the administration and enforcement, some of that's covered by our general, and I just, again, it's not wrong as written, but just as we look to go forward with, trying to have a comprehensive set of bylaws, redundancy drives me a little nutso. So I'm sure everybody's saying it's hard because we're doing this, in bits and pieces, but there is an administration and enforcement section in the general bylaw, so you just may want to look at that, and I'm not sure that we actually need it in each individual section of the bylaw.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Of course, I don't want to get into this, do I? The acceptance of the bylaw has many meanings. Of course, statute says it's the day of the first public hearing by the planning board. So it might be a moot issue unless it fails at town meeting.
Which part are you referencing, Jack?
Aye.
Uh,
And when
Okay.
the first month takes effect, where is that? So the public hearing's going to be at the end of this month. So you got 3 weeks. Anyway, leave it in there. Forget it. We'll work it out.
Yeah, I mean, if there's another way to phrase this, I obviously would go with
I
whatever.
don't think it's critical at all. Not even close to critical.
Okay. So I think we can move on. The other stuff is a little more complicated. So,
well,
thank.
No, Gabe, I think we
Yes.
need. Bill's not here. The planning board is meeting next Monday, and they're going to need a recommendation from this committee on whether to move this forward to town meeting. And the board then will consider, it's already on their agenda, excuse me, for Monday whether to sponsor the article or not. So if Bill was here, I'm sure he would be asking for an endorsement of this committee as written or as amended, whatever.
Is everybody happy with the current version?
I'm pretty content so far.
Anne? Leanna?
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Francis?
Just a couple of points, and I'm playing catch up here, and I don't want to duplicate anyone's efforts. Just that recent edit, Gabe, is that intended to say the ADU that's built or created? Because most of the ADUs are going to be created after this bylaw is passed, right? Unless there's an existing. So are we talking about construction or creation?
Both. I would say both.
Yeah.
So if the purpose of adopting this is to create more housing, more long-term housing, we don't want to recommend that they be allowed for short-term rentals.
Mhm.
But if there's something that's pre-existing in town, if somebody already has an in-law unit, we don't want to restrict them. But we don't want new ones to get around the purpose.
My only other point, again, not being at prior meetings, and whether it was discussed, is there any consideration to the number of occupants, the number of bedrooms, and the well and septic capacity in this process?
So, in terms of occupants and bedrooms, we are not allowed to regulate that directly. Here, I'll screen share again.
But the Board of Health, they wouldn't be able to get a building permit without the Board of Health sanctioning the septic system.
So under the first section, we're looking at the minimum floor area of an accessory dwelling unit shall be in accordance with state building code. The gross floor area, shall not exceed the area or height of the main residence, but shall be subordinate to the main residence. And then the construction of any accessory dwelling unit must be in conformity with the state building code, Title V, or other local bylaws and regulations.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also there's no minimum lot size provided that all dimensional regulations are met and there is sufficient space to provide for adequate and safe water supply and sewage disposal. So yeah, that's where we're at with this.
Okay.
I think that should cover any egregious issues that we'd encounter. And then in terms of occupants and things like that, the state law, part of the intent is that we're not allowed to restrict. I mean, I think the big thing that the state wants to get away from is allowing towns to restrict to family members because it's borderline unenforceable, and inequitable and all that. But I think similarly, we can't be asking about occupants and stuff like that, or bedrooms. I think the idea is that the state code should be providing for, those limitations.
Lisa, how do you feel about the bylaw?
I am in agreement. Whatever you guys decide.
Good
You're
Dylan?
the experts.
answer.
All good.
Patrick?
Well, I don't have a vote, but I think we've vetted it out pretty good. I think it's good where it's at now.
No, understood. Yeah, I was more taking a straw poll there.
Yeah.
We can take an official vote if everybody feels happy with it, and we don't have any other changes. I'll accept a motion to accept the bylaw as written to be put forward to the planning board for their hearing.
I'll make a
Can I
motion. Oh,
can I recommend that it just be cleaned up so it doesn't show all the strike throughs and
Of
highlights
course,
and everything?
of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Just
okay, and since we did that, can I just ask that if you're either gonna capitalize accessory dwelling unit or not capitalize it, do it throughout? I wasn't gonna
Yes.
say anything, but
Oh yeah.
Where's Dylan when we need her? That's up her alley.
I tried not doing too many of those. I held back because I was.
I know I
already
was holding back too, Dylan, but I
I
felt
felt
an
bad.
opportunity. I felt a slight opportunity
I'm
there.
such
'cause-
It's too great. I just nitpick like crazy. It's my.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well, that's when you know you have a bylaw that meets everybody's approval, when you get to the nitpicking part, when you could say, okay, here's what's left to fix, is, stuff like that.
Okay,
I'm
so do I
Doing
have
a
a
find
motion?
and replace right now.
Do I have a motion?
Make a
Yeah.
motion for whatever you said, Lonnie, which is to put it before the planning board for approval. Is that what you wanted a motion for?
I heard Liana say so moved.
So
do I have a
moved, there you
second? Do I have a second? No second?
Second.
All right. Roll call vote, all in favor, I'll call Leanna Moore.
Aye.
Jack Hunt, you're not voting, are you voting, Jack?
I
Ann Meza,
cannot vote.
Aye.
Lisa Hilton,
Aye.
Matt Clark,
Aye.
Fran Nero,
Aye.
Tenio, aye. The ayes have it. All right. That's
Thank
one
you all
down.
very much, very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your work on it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of work. And yeah, this committee's been great. This was way faster than I thought, and it was so many good ideas putting it together. Let's move on to the common drive.
And the ADU was the easy one, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So flag lots and common drive.
Editorializing, I think we heard what everyone, or at least mostly everyone, was talking about and how they wanted to proceed. But I'll let the bylaw get on the screen.
I think
Gabe,
we
did-
lost.
Yeah,
Jean.
yeah, I think so too.
She was here a minute ago.
Yeah, like as soon
Oh
as we
yeah.
voted-
I don't know where Jane went. I'll message her.
Yeah, she fell off as soon as we took the vote. She was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Gonna leave on a happy, positive note.
I don't have. I can screen share. I don't have the files downloaded, so I'll need to like the latest versions. But I can.
Dylan might have it.
Yeah, Dylan, if you could get those up.
Yeah,
that'd
give me
be
one sec.
helpful.
Let me dig through my email real quick.
Cool. Oh, here's Jane.
If she has any trouble getting on, I have it, but give her a minute.
Here she-
Here she
I think
comes.
so.
There we are.
She's on mute though. Jane, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
She's muted.
Jane, you're gonna message her. Oh, there you are.
Should be good now.
There we are.
All right.
All right, so these highlighted sections we had already gone through before, and we're leaving them that way just for discussion by the planning board. The couple of revisions that we made, and I can't recall if this was with Jack and Dylan last week or at our last meeting, where we clarified that the turnaround area for emergency vehicles shall be done as necessary while resulting in the least amount of disturbance. And that we're looking for how long the paved area of the driveway apron should be, just so people aren't bringing gravel out onto the public way.
Could you scroll up, Jane? Didn't we do something before then? Yes. We're now creating 2 flag lots from a single parcel with common or separate driveways. And if you want up to 4 flag lots, you have to have a common driveway. I think that's what we heard. It got, we were tossing around a lot of stuff at the last meeting, but I think that's what I heard. I think that's the first thing we should talk about.
Okay. 2 or 4. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it kind of gets to what we were talking about for certain size lots, but we did discuss if you had 1,000 feet of frontage and 50 acres, you could do 2 lots, a conventional lot, 2 flag lots, conventional lot. And I don't think that, this committee had a problem with that, versus what the developer may do with doing a loop road. Would this prevent, from A&Ring that first lot one time?
So
I'm not following.
So if you had 1,000 feet of frontage, say, right?
On
So
an accepted road, yep.
Yep. So say you have 1,000 feet of frontage. So those lots are going to be frontage lots until you run out of your 200 feet of frontage, right? So
they could be.
You're talking 4. You're talking 4. You would get 4 or 5 frontage lots, right, with big back lots, or you're going to get 4, and then you would be able to do 4 more on a common drive out behind those 4 houses,
provided you had enough land area.
Right.
With land area.
Which actually, again, if we're looking at it from a standpoint of minimizing impact, that a subdivision on a 50-acre parcel would what you could get out of that, plus you would still have 3 frontage lots, right? Out of 1,000, if we're just using that as our number, right? So you'd have 600 feet, you'd have 3 lots on their frontage lots, and then you would have a road that goes in the back and goes to the back 50 acres. Again, let's say there's no wetlands, it's a nice dry lot all the way back. You're going to get upwards of, depending on what type of subdivision you do, you're going to get, as many houses as you can.
Yeah.
20, yeah.
Whereas by minimizing it down to the 4 and not having to build a road makes a huge difference, impact on the land itself, and then impact on the amount of houses, dwellings to be built, and the impact on the community to not have to maintain that road.
So you're supporting this?
I am.
Okay. I wasn't sure where you were going.
Sure. I would know. I was just kind of, I feel like I just regurgitate the same thing every time. So I just want to make sure I keep doing it. Ann, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question. So you need 50 feet of frontage to put in 1 flag lot, or?
Yes.
So every flag lot needs the 50 feet of frontage?
Correct.
Okay.
But you
And
can
then on
only
one-
have, yep.
No, go on.
You can only have 2 unless you can have up to 4 You can have 2 without a common driveway. You can have up to 4, but you're mandated to have a common driveway.
Right, because with the 50 feet, I mean, you still may they could still do a common driveway if they wanted to, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a separate bylaw, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at like a perfect example of what you're talking about, where we have is on Blackstone Street, where they had the frontage, but they're really weird lots. You know, on the sharp turn there where the houses are out behind. Those are really long driveways because the land was out back, but they kind of all scoot around each other to get to those back lots. So there they had the frontage, I believe. I'd have to go back and look, but it just the way that the land was, and it was probably some wetlands, they had to scoot around to get everybody to the back. So essentially, yes, if you were doing 2 and you didn't have to do a shared driveway, again, the way that the land might work, that makes complete sense. But I would have to agree that anything 3 or above, you would want it to be on a shared driveway. Or if you want to take it to the next level, if you were bringing the 4th in, it has to be a common driveway. Sorry, Ann, go ahead.
So if you have more than 2, you need to have a common driveway.
Correct.
Mhm.
On the
So if you
same
had
parcel.
4 flag lots, you'd need 200 feet, but you'd want a common driveway. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Because that cuts down on, you would have 4 driveways within 50 feet of each other. You know what I'm saying? No matter how you kind of sliced it out, and that would be right next to each other. So yeah, anything 2 driveways in a 200-foot section is still even a little close, but I would agree. Anything over the 2 would require a common.
So-
And
so-
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, so I guess my only question is, and where I was going with it is it's not really saying that you could still have conventional lots. I mean, it's,
Oh,
unless it is somewhere else. It's just
Yep.
saying if you got 1 parcel of land, you can have 2 flag lots. It doesn't say you can have conventional lots and 2 flag lots.
it's totally optional, Pat.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to bring up.
I got it. Thank you.
I think I gotta say that this is not so much lately, but after the last meeting, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I know I could probably and have thought of a million scenarios on how to get around this, through this, by this, and what this could do and not do. I think it's not foolproof in any way. This is what I thought was the consensus of the group. Maybe not a plurality, but a consensus of some sort. At least those 2 pieces.
And I guess from my perspective, I mean, being on the engineering/surveying side, you could get around it in a 2-step process, although you always want to be upfront in what you really want to do. If you had all that 1,000 feet of frontage, you could cut all the conventional lots and create other lots and then do what you want to do. It's just trying to, if we could
Yeah, and you could
put
A&R
the
in
intent
big
out of what,
chunks.
yeah.
So, and again, I think and again, I understand where Jack's coming from on trying to keep it as tight as possible. But when you think about all the scenarios where you could, and every lot's different, right? So when you think about the scenarios where you can skirt it by making moves ahead of time and thinking through it, if we make it by right and open it up a little bit, then we're not really looking, then we're not going to get, I feel like we're going to reduce the fact that somebody might be trying to skirt this or skirt that, and finding ways to split a lot ahead of time before they come in for the request. I mean, you can split it, sell it, do this, move it to a different entity, wait 2 years. It's not, it's. I understand we want to be careful, but at the same time, the easier we make it, I think, and again, I don't know why I want to. That might be a bad word, right? Easier, but the more
Streamlined.
thanks, yeah, streamlined we make it, that it will work as its intent.
I hope so. I do think this. I think, someone will probably figure out some way, right? Somebody will. It does, I do realize that these flag lots does keep to some extent the rural character of the town.
Mhm.
And you get away from a subdivision. I got that. I really do. I'm just worried about too many curb cuts versus one curb cut. I think the demand of the common driveway helps that a little bit. And then as you'll see in the next section, I don't have an answer for the next section about how long of a common driveway will allow. Do we allow extensions, et cetera, et cetera? But I'm starting to get this a little.
How do common driveways work? Like, let's say, one person doesn't pay their fee or whatever to clear it and whatnot. What is the penalty to that person?
It's up to
Um,
them, the property owners.
Jane, do you want to go down
sorry.
jump down to the?
Well, that's a different bylaw.
That is.
So
Oh, that's the
I just-
common driveway. That's
We're on
what
top.
she's asking.
Right, so when it comes down.
It's a
oh, I'm
private
sorry,
issue.
Jane.
It's a
Yeah,
private
right,
issue,
so-
and it'll be on the property owners who decide to live there. I mean, we're gonna try to make sure that they have some sort of agreement with each other when they buy a house and they know it's going to be on a common driveway. That's on them.
So-
And if their
Jane,
neighbor doesn't follow, they can sue.
Right,
Could you
so,
switch
Yeah.
to the common? I'm sorry, Lonnie. Could you switch to the common driveway bylaw just quick? And go to
Can I
the
just
section?
point out that this might help Pat? An approved flag lot shall not be further divided to reduce its area or create additional lots. Is that where Pat was thinking that people might try to skirt this to?
I think it was also with you might create a traditional subdivision and then 2 years down the line you might split off again because it said that you can only do it on existing lots. Existing is a funny word.
Right. And where I was going is, it's say in the scenario, you got the 1,000 feet of frontage and you could do, like Lonnie said, so many conventional lots and then 4 out back. I don't read that you're allowed to do that. It's one property now. All you can do is 4 lots or go conventional route. The way I read it, and Liana, you could probably correct me if I'm wrong.
That's the way it reads. Can we jump down to that one question about that Anne had? It's right
Yeah,
down
it's
on the
the
bottom.
agreement.
Yep.
I didn't pass it yet, did I?
No.
All the way, I think.
No.
No, it's a little higher, I guess.
Oh.
No, it's somewhere in the middle. It's not right at the end. Right there.
Right here?
12. Yep. Instruments
permit.
necessary to establish easements. Yeah.
Yep. So it would be an access easement as well as the document would note what uses are permitted, like no parking on the common driveway. And it also addresses maintenance such as snow plowing, rubbish collection, etc., at the landowner's responsibility. That the document shall be recorded with the Registry of Deeds. But so when they buy and they're made aware of this requirement to sign this agreement, it becomes a civil issue. It's not a town issue.
Yeah, she's right. And this, we run into this even in subdivisions that aren't accepted by the town, where the land or the developer has gone south. And we run into this in Oxford a couple times where the developer's gone south and hasn't finished the subdivision, though there's one instance, 17 houses on the subdivision road, and no one's plowing it.
Because it never got fully accepted. Yeah.
Because it never got fully accepted. So
that's the risk of a homeowner not using a buyer's agent or not using an agent at all and saying, oh, I'll just buy whatever house and listen to whoever's selling it to me. That happens. But you can't buy a house without knowing what's going on with it.
If we're going to have a common driveway, this is about as tight as you can get it, I think. Maybe
Yeah,
there's a better
this is
one
even
we haven't.
something to, yeah,
Yeah, so,
make
and
sure.
keep in mind too, that it would be more of like an HOA, that you would, that you would have, that there would have to be so much money put into, and,
A mini HOA, yeah.
yeah, right. Leanna?
If I practice real estate law, I'd ask you to staple my card to the common bylaw driveway. Bylaw. So back to Pat's original question about like kind of what configurations. I am having trouble following it, and I do see there's like some language that's imprecise and may lead to kind of ambiguities as to the intent of that bylaw. And I would highly recommend either in this meeting or in the next meeting, I'm not sure if you're trying to get this done for November, to maybe think through some illustrative examples as to, yeah, this is what we think this bylaw is saying, and we think it would allow this but prohibit this, to Pat's point about how you're breaking up lots and stuff, so that then we can, go backwards and say, okay, does the bylaw actually say that, or is there some ambiguities or some means to kind of misinterpret what we're trying to do? Because I am having trouble following what we want to allow and what actually is allowable under this bylaw in different configurations and different, parcels, chopping up.
Thank you. Fran?
I just wanted a few comments. To Ann's point, I would assume that there would be an HOA like was mentioned, and there would be either a common fee collected by the homeowners, and of course, when that property's sold, I would think some sort of statement of common expenses having been paid similar to a condo. The other option would be, I guess, a common driveway maintenance agreement that calls for certain things, but I wanted to just comment on that a little bit, and just had a question on the lot dimensions. Don't want to stray too far, but is there a minimum upland requirement for any flag lot?
Yes, it has to be double the allowed lot area.
think
Right,
we
so
should
for
go back to
area,
that.
that is true, but what about for a wet property? Is there a minimum upland requirement for that?
No,
Okay.
Well, hold on, yeah, you still need the minimum upland that you would need to build a house.
well, that's a construction
That's
issue,
the dimensional.
not a zoning issue.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, but again, the lot, the town still has 60,000, 60,000 square feet or something of upland is needed.
Mhm. And then finally, just in my experience, most situations arise where someone owns a piece of land that that lacks the minimum frontage, and that's an individual homeowner or property owner, typically wanting a flag lot, and by way of variance, sometimes there's enough land to allow for two. I don't know if I've ever run into a situation where there's 4 flag lots to be created, and I'm certainly pro development. I was just curious how that kind of entered the chat. It seems to promote that, what we were just talking about, the finagling that may happen. I just didn't know if there was much discussion on that point.
Sure. So for instance, I live on one, and then we've had it come into zoning board when I was on previous, I believe 2 times, and there's one that has been approved by the zoning board just recently up on North Ave. It would be adding 3 houses. There's already, the one is already there way in the back, but for instance, where I live was supposed to be a subdivision. It ended up being 4 flag lots and 1 frontage lot that was already there.
So there are 4 lots there, not 2.
Okay. Right. We didn't develop all 4, but yes, it was broken up into 4.
I see. Okay.
I'll send you the plan, friend.
Okay.
Sorry, Ann, go ahead. I'm sorry. Ann, go ahead. Matt, just hang on for 1 sec.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ann.
Oh, you
So,
want, go ahead.
so for like your example, Lonnie, how much frontage did you have?
So here, you know what? I can throw it up. Ours were, we could have done the full 50, but at the time there was no law. So and we didn't actually present this. We bought it after it was done, but I can share it. Hold on. So I think they're 40 feet or something like that.
And while Lonnie's looking for that, I know Francis wasn't in the committee earlier. I can resend the sample easement and maintenance agreement out to all of you again.
Yeah. And Fran, we did talk about this a lot, especially the last meeting, not so much before that.
Yeah, I didn't want to go over old ground. I did watch the last meeting to catch up to speed. It was good. It was good television, I guess. But yeah,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't want to belabor the points that you guys have already discussed on that.
Am
And by
I,
the way, you can call me Fran or Frank. I go by both.
Oh, okay.
My mother used to call me Francis, so we're
Oh, boy.
limited to Fran or Frank.
Okay.
Unless we're mad at you, then we call you Francis.
That's it, Francis Anthony, actually.
Yeah.
So Matt, if you want to go ahead before I go over what I'm sharing, go right ahead.
Sure. Yeah, real quick, and I think Jane touched on this. Just wondering if there is a sample maintenance agreement or HOA agreement, because I think the devil's in the details on that. What the planning board approves, and just want to, at some point there should be a standard document that sets the more important details of those agreements going forward.
Are flag lots common in other towns? And what towns have them that we could sort of, look at their bylaws or?
It's interesting you asked that. I've worked for, I think, 7 or 8 towns. And Uxbridge allows them. They were the first town. They're not as frequently used as you would think, but I think they're becoming more popular. Now, why? Of course, we know why. Land is more harder to find, and certainly the frontage requirements that everybody uses are pretty egregious if you want to have more houses.
Right, I can pipe in there a little bit, but it's more common in more rural areas that do not have sewer than it would be in the more suburban or urban area.
Yep. And I've worked in more suburban and cities than real rural.
Liana, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know you're gonna take us through your plan here, Lonnie.
Yep.
This is helpful to have a visual.
Yep.
But maybe as we're going through your plan too, if I'm reading our bylaws correctly, this wouldn't even be approved today because each flag lot has to have double the amount of land area, right? So you'd probably only be able to get 2, of these flag lots based on.
You're saying the flag lots need to have 4 acres of land?
I thought that's what I saw in the bylaw, that they need to have double.
Yes.
They have to have double, that's correct. I don't know what zone this is in, but
This is residential. That seems.
I don't know what
When did we come up with that? I don't remember discussing that, but okay, it seems aggressive.
we've been.
I must have missed it, but
It's pretty big.
that's huge. So that would limit.
A lot of the bylaws I've seen do require a minimum 150%, usually 2 times the amount.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is obviously North Ave. This is Northbridge Road over here. So this is the frontage here was 36, roughly 36 all the way across. However, the main lot that was kept had 223. I think if we took that 23, we would have gotten closer to the 50. Maybe we would have only gotten 3, right? But again, there was nothing to go by back then. These are the lots the way that they were drawn up. We ended up building one house is on these 2. The other house is here. There is still 1 lot available that we haven't done anything with. These are, what are those? Patrick, what's 75,000 square feet?
Almost 2 acres.
Yeah, that's 60,000 is what's required. So right, so 75.
These are undersized according to the bylaw.
I mean, a whole other thing is you can consider changing the lot size for front lots.
And the other thing to consider, I know Oxbridge has got similar zoning, but you know, a lot of the, you know, the 150% and 200% of the conventional lot is, you know, when you've got half acre zoning or, you know, smaller lots as well. I mean, so Lonnie, I would just ask you to comment if you were only gonna get 2 lots, flag lots, would a, you know, a cul-de-sac work in this area? You know, would a developer put in a cul-de-sac so he could get 4 lots, you know, or
Well,
or
yeah,
5
there
lots?
was, yeah, I believe there was six planned here. You would be
Mhm.
losing, you would be, so essentially, there's 5 because you kept the front. So I'm sorry, there was 8. This was to be demolished, and then it was, the road was coming in here, and there was, I believe there was 8 lots here.
You
So
could get eight 60,000 square foot lots.
I
Okay,
believe, only there's 10 acres, so figure off of that. So it was 7 or 8. I forget the actual number.
yeah,
I'd have to go back and dig
minus
out
the road, the wetlands, yeah.
So yeah, I would say that Mendon has decent sized lots. I wouldn't say double the lot size, but I mean, if what's it, what is a buildable lot? An acre and 3/4 in Mendon?
Like
2,
60,000
60,
acre
yeah.
upland. It's 60,000 upland though, right?
And no, that's a misnomer. I'm gonna correct that, as I did
Oh.
with the chairman. You can't restrict uplands in wetlands. It's
Mhm.
lot size, period. With
It's,
any,
Well,
it's,
I think minimum lot does not include any part of a pond, stream, river,
Yeah.
swamp, or
Correct.
wetlands.
it's in there.
now, it's been the practice of the planning board, and I think, you know, the reasons were probably just, but it just, you couldn't do it. They encourage as much upland as they can get, but I'll leave it at that. And so a lot is a lot.
So
Doesn't mean it's buildable. That's up to the building commissioner and construction and engineering.
I don't know why my camera's all blurry.
It's on.
Yeah, I just did blurry.
It's
So
also not just 60, by the way.
It
What is
isn't.
It's 90,000 in 2-family. Other permitted uses are 60, business is 40. So like there's different things. It's not just
okay,
60
Oh,
so
for
it's
one
not just
family.
60.
so
Yeah.
single, so what's
Traditional.
the single
Single
family
family.
lot?
60 for single family.
Okay, then
And
just calculate that to
Minus ponds, streams, rivers, etc.
sorry, it's get 60,000.
can't-
So
Yeah, it says
60,000
it in it. That's the problem, Jack. It does say it.
Says, what does it say exactly?
No part of any pond, stream, river, swamp, or wetland shall be included as part of the lot for the purpose of determining the minimum lot size.
No,
Or
you
wetland,
can't
okay.
do that.
You can't, yeah, it's there.
Well, we have CMRPC here, so there, you put that in your log for us to discuss. That's gonna
Right,
have to
so
be
my-
deleted.
Yeah, my point is, you know, regardless whether it includes wetlands or not, you know, in this scenario, if we were gonna require 2 times, which is 120,000 square feet, you would have gotten maybe the frontage lot and 2 rear lots versus a subdivision with 8 lots, which was what they were looking for, or 7 lots or whatever it were. And they likely would have put a cul-de-sac in and gone that route. If we're, you know, looking to enable these flag lots to allow less infrastructure and, you know, things of that nature and additional housing stock, you know, I don't, where Mendon has such large lot size to begin with, do we want to double that? And you know, that's kind of my comments here.
Yes.
120,000 is 2.75 acres.
Yeah, that's, I
Not
think.
4. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so 3, so, I mean, look, I think that, so what's 60,000 square feet?
1 acre and a half almost.
Nearly an
Almost.
acre and a half. Yeah.
Okay. So
An acre is 43,000 square feet, so we always round it to 40.
what is it, Dylan?
1.4, 1.37.
Okay, so even if we brought it up to 2, you know what I mean? I think that, I don't know why we need to, but extra land for some buffering when your neighbors are like that. This one was built a little odd. The other ones I've seen are much more spread. The other ones I've seen are much more spread, right? They're not right next to each other like we are. So,
I think if you had larger lots, then they might be more spread, you know.
yep. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
What if we just start like with the idea of a flag lot and just allow like one or two and just see how it goes, and then you can always add more.
Well, the only thing is we're getting them into, we're getting the zoning request in, and you know how fun it is to try to get bylaws changed. I mean, if we're gonna ask for it, I would say let's ask for it. And again, only because we're getting more of them, and if it is an option, I believe we're going to see more of them. Where the other part that was brought up was how many of these are even left, right? I think Jack said it the other day.
Uh-oh, what did I say?
Something like you know, how many, trying to think of where in town there was, other than, the big fieldy areas, where are we seeing these?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
Leanne,
sure
go
there
ahead.
is somewhere. My other comment is that if, just put the lot size aside for now, if this was built under the bylaw, you'd have to have a common drive. So that's one curb cut. That makes me much more comfortable. I'm concerned about curb cuts. This just looks messy to me too. I don't know. The other thing we talked about, and somebody just brought this up, I forget who, is, the ADU, I think we did a great job. It's a decent bylaw. We'll find out whether it holds mustard. I think it will, and whether we need to tweak it. And it should go to town meeting, so I'm glad about that. I think we can wait on this and the common driveway. I don't see a rush to this. I think I still have questions, concerns. You're bringing up a lot of them now. What's the right mix and what's the right
Yep.
multiplier, if you will, examples of abuse, maybe. I did promise to show you some and I forgot, I didn't do that. And samples of homeowners associations and other protections. And I think it was Liana is show us, what you want to do, and then we'll try to figure out how to do it. So that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say that we don't have to rush this. We're coming up on 7 o'clock here. So I think we've had a bunch more good ideas tonight. So
Oh,
let's continue to talk about this. Leanna, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just a couple points, and full disclosure, these flag lots don't bother me at all. I don't have an opinion one way or another on them, except for the curb cuts. I do see how that could be an issue, but so just full disclosure, I really have no opinion as to whether we do flag lots or not. So this is just kind of two parting thoughts. The first parting thought is I'm getting confused as we're having the conversation as to what we're trying to accomplish for the town. I hear a lot of discussion about increasing housing stock and inventory, and then I know there's also been discussions about being careful about town resources and stuff like that. So I'm not sure which we're trying to achieve with the flag lots, because unless I'm not thinking about it the right way, I'm sure Patrick or someone with more expertise on this could help me out with. This wouldn't appear to increase the housing stock if you could otherwise do a development that has 8 lots, unless you're saying it increases the housing stock because otherwise it's not buildable. Again, so I'm throwing that out there. So in addition to the illustrative, what do we think would be allowable, what's not, so that we can draft the bylaw properly, I would suggest we also, try to at least figure out what goal we're trying to achieve by allowing flag lots, unless it's just to encourage development in any manner. And again, I have no opinion. This does not bother me at all, one way or another. And then just my second thought, as far as timing, it does seem to be, if we're doing them already, and Lonnie is showing us a live example, and I think I might even, now that I'm thinking about walking the trails up here, I might have one right around the corner from my house, because I could tell it's a pretty long common driveway with a bunch of offshoots for housing. If the planning board or someone is approving these anyway, I don't know that we want to go a whole nother year with allowing them in a manner that, maybe we're not happy with. Jack, to your point, you don't love the way Lonnie's property is because of the curb cuts, right? So we do lose, oh, no, Lonnie's saying no. Okay.
There's only one curb cut.
Okay. Okay, you did a common driveway? That's not,
Yep, so this is there's a common, so there's not even a driveway for this house. All the houses in here the driveway comes in here, this one shoots off, it goes down here to this house and comes down to mine, and then there's the dirt road still down to the other one.
okay, perfect. Then I stand corrected. My only point was to say that if we are allowing them in some manner, you know, then that might suggest there is some urgency to doing a bylaw. I'm not suggesting maybe for November. I don't know if that's doable, you know, with the comments that we have, but there might be some urgency if we're trying to allow them and doing it without any kind of constraints or consistency.
Yeah, no, I think we would be looking to bring it to the annual town meeting. Just we didn't want to rush it for this meeting, especially if it's crazy. Before I go to Patrick and Fran real quick, Leanna, just to touch on the like, because we're kind of all over the map, I would agree. The points that I've been making is that we have conventional subdivision, we have the subdivision where, and I don't know why I forget the name, where we give the land back to the town, which allows for the
Open
smaller
space.
lots. Yeah, an open space subdivision, which makes you know, your lots get a little bit smaller, but they can do the density builds. It's a shorter cul-de-sac generally, and it limits to 8, right? So what this is another option that would limit it to 4, up to 4, right? And then with the common driveway, the town doesn't have the burden of maintaining the road, because now it's a common drive, right? So those are some of the benefits I see to it. It gives the developer another option that's less intrusive to the community, and also by reducing it from, say, a 6, you know, say it's a 12 lot conventional, 8 lot green space, or a 4 lot common drive, that you've now reduced the amount of housing stock. Not that we're trying to say we're, you know, don't build houses, right? But when we do reduce it down like that in those increments, we've now possibly reduced the burden to the school that a subdivision can bring in such an influx, whereas something smaller like this, we're bringing them in, you know, smaller amounts.
Just to clarify what you said, the open space subdivisions can have the same number as a conventional subdivision. It's just that you set aside the open space.
I thought it was a maximum of 8.
No, I mean, you could do, I mean, if you can get a road in and road out, you can do more, you know.
Fair enough.
So my only
sorry,
one,
Patrick.
so I had my hand up, but my only suggestion, just for thought before we take off tonight, you know, rather than a maximum lot size or double or triple or 1.5 times, I know I don't always like it, but like some kind of a lot irregularity calculation, maybe a 200 by 200 foot box has to fit in the lot.
Lot shape factor.
You know, or something like that, you know, rather than a larger lot may be appropriate in this town.
I think that might be in there, the minimum width, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought I saw that.
Right, but I mean, it's if you can fit a 4, I mean, the width is one, but then you could have diverging lines and stuff like that. You know, usually if you have a circle or a rectangle, you got to fit in the lot. It ends up with a pretty decent regular lot, even though you got a 50-foot frontage go down to the road. Just a thought.
So, real quick too, I'll just share it again so you can see the driveway layout. I just have a better map. Sorry, and Fran, if you want to go ahead,
I just wanted to follow up on Jack and Liana's points. I don't disagree that it looks like there's some things to be ironed out. No one wants to rush this. However, we have seen a certain desire for individual retreat lots, and you know, that's a lot easier to draw up, I think, than with these multiple lot provisions. Does it make sense if the board or the committee is inclined to submit a bylaw for one retreat lot and whatever the terms and conditions are, and then revisit this multiple flag lot? Is that duplicative, or is that, I certainly don't want to say waste of time, but we see people coming before boards and they need a variance, and the standard for a variance is very high. So there may be a backlog of these, I'm not sure, of these applications. So I just wanted to throw that what the committee thought about a individual flag lot provision now. See how that goes and maybe expand it to multiple lots once we've had better opportunity to look at some of these concerns. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, what we have seen come in are not individual flag lots. The ones that have been coming in are, the smallest I saw was 3.
And
I
should
mean,
they
it
still be
is-
held to the
yeah.
variance standard for development
Yeah, yeah.
versus an individual parcel?
Well, that's an issue, isn't it?
Yeah. The common driveway provision, bylaws, where I think where some of this gets further addressed.
And from my experience, going before many, many zoning boards, every town has a different standard for what is appropriate. So, I mean, if the board changed next week, everything would be denied, or vice
Yeah.
versa.
Lonnie, your picture, of the actual as-built conditions is, it paints a much better picture of, compared to the plan, right? The four, lots coming in, the 4 driveways coming in, at least. This seems a lot more, appealing.
What we were seeing on the plan was that's how we got the frontage, you kind of,
Yeah.
that's how you scream in, but then you can see here, this is the driveway entrance, this goes over to, that was the dwellings that were on that plan that were there. One comes down here, this comes out back to the barn, and you can see where the other one would eventually come down for the final. If that makes more sense. So it's 7:10. I don't want, I think we're trying to keep these meetings so we're not burnt out. Again, I think we're getting closer to this, these 2 laws. There's a lot to hash out. So, and we always have, there's so many good ideas on how to make it right. So I think we shouldn't rush it. And again, the good news is I'm on the ZBA, so I guess that I can, if they come in and request them in the meantime, we'll tell them they gotta be 50 feet. We'll tell them that, these are coming. And we're working on them as hard as we can. Yeah.
And the 4 of us will keep kicking stuff around. I think I heard some of the information you want. We'll try to get that. And we'll keep kicking it around.
Sure. Awesome. Anybody have anything else besides a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Get a second.
Second.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It's really not a
Thank you.
privilege.
Roll call, Lonnie.
Yeah, I think it's a privileged vote, but okay. Tinio, aye. Leanna?
Aye.
Ann?
I
Fran?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Nice to meet
everybody.
everyone.
Bye-bye.